Hello, everyone. Welcome to another new episode of Love, Life, and Energy. I have another incredible special guest. Jennifer Takagi is here with us today. We're going to be talking about some different things, a lot about love and career and business, but really about how marriage can look different. And it doesn't have to be the traditional kind of way. And then also something that, I'm also a big believer in is about clearing your past trauma to make all the difference, and having self-care in your routine is going to have you having the most amazing life. So you're going to love this episode. Stick around. Welcome to Love, Life, and Energy. I'm Michelle Chung, and I'm passionate about all things love, manifesting, relationships, woo-woo stuff, health, and wellness. This podcast is your go-to sanctuary for personal growth, designed for busy, career-driven women who are ready to embrace their highest potential and not settle for an average, ordinary life. Let's grow and manifest your dream life together. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to this podcast. Lovely to have you on.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm happy to be here.
So excited. Before we hit record, and we were kind of like trying to think about, what are we going to focus on in this episode? And I've been on your podcast as well. And we just got along so well. So we decided to do this podcast swap. I really wanted to invite you today to talk about your life and how you've been inspiring women and how you're coaching women to have this amazing life. So let me give you a bit of an intro so everyone knows a bit about your background. So Jennifer, you're called the 12-Minute Success Coach. You're a certified high-performance coach, and you help women discover the power of their purpose by tapping into their truth, honing intuition, and trusting yourself so you can have that clarity and confidence to create the next level of success in the way that you desire. So how did you get into this, and share a little bit about what you do?
Yes. I had a career with the federal government, and they came in one day and said, you can retire, relocate, or resign, depending on your years of service. And I loved training and speaking. I did that some with my career, but not much. And when they said I could leave, I just ran out the door. And so for the past 10, almost 11 years now, I've been an entrepreneur, and I'm a speaker and a trainer, an author, podcaster, because you were on my podcast. That's how we got connected. And so along that journey, I learned energy healing in various modalities. And so it's been a really fun journey to bring together the leadership development type skills that I had honed over the years, as well as energy healing. And like you said, to clear the past trauma so that you can live your best life today.
That's amazing. And I really love how you integrated the world of business and corporate with energetic work. And this is something that we'd mentioned in your podcast as well, because we live in this dual type of world where it's like, as my partner says, the suited monk, you have your suit side, which is very like, your external stuff. It's what you project to the world. It's success and your business, your title. And yet you have this other world that's the internal, the feminine energy world that is more like the intuition, the clarity, all that stuff that's brewing under the surface that you actually need to have correct and clear, or accurate and clear, in order to have those results in the outside world, right?
Yeah, it's a both and situation, not an either or.
Yeah, 100%. No, I love how you said that. And I guess, something interesting to note is like you're able to merge those two worlds quite well. Like you have a very strong business in your 12-minute success. And can you tell us a little bit about how you achieved that in that, and how you founded that system?
Yes. I met Jack Canfield, who was the co-founder of the Chicken Soup for the Souls books that have sold multi-millions of copies. And his other famous book is The Success Principles. And I am a certified Success Principles coach also. I love learning. So I do these things, and then I find out that there's a certification that comes with it. So that's just kind of like a bonus for me. But the first principle in his book, The Success Principles, is take 100% responsibility for your life. And if 100% is too much, take 5% more. than whatever you're doing right now.
Oh.
And I was giving a talk at an association, and I wanted to speak on this, take 100% responsibility for your life. And I became obsessed with what is 5%? 5% more what? And I was racking my brain. I can't just throw out there, take 5% more. Like, I didn't know what that was. So again, this is where your intuition comes in, where you're asking the questions and go to sleep and you wake up with the answer kind of thing happens. And I realized my life was broken into 3 4-hour increments throughout my day. I had from 8 to noon, roughly 1 to 5, and then like 6 to 10 in the evenings. And 5% of 4 hours is 12 minutes. And I started looking at all the things you can truly accomplish in 12 minutes. And what I've become really helping mostly women and a few super cool men. But the main thing I've helped with is take that huge, exciting goal and vision for their life and then break it down into little increments. Because what happens is we become overwhelmed and then we don't ever start. I was on a call just yesterday, actually. It was a group breakout session. And this woman was saying how difficult it was. She needed to do more social media posts. She wasn't doing enough, just beating herself up about it. And I said, well, may I interject? And she said, yes. And I said, I call myself the 12-minute success coach. And what if you just put aside 12 minutes a day to do one post? Like, set your timer, set your intention, go into Canva, create it, make a quote, whatever, and get it scheduled out. We say we need hours to do something, and then we piddle around for hours. And then in the last 30 minutes is when all the magic happens. And it's because we give ourselves too much time without any focus to it. So people have been using this in so many great ways. One woman was not much of a reader, but really thought reading some business books would be helpful. But she hates to read. And she thought, well, I can commit to 12 minutes. It's like you feel like you're doing more than just 5 or 10, but man, 15 is almost a commitment, right? And so she was like, I can do 12. So you can apply it in so many ways. Like, I got a new habit of loading the dishwasher every night before I go to bed and turning it on no matter how many dishes there are in it. You're still using less water than if you hand wash those few dishes. And in the morning, put them away. And I had a terrible habit of having all the dishes on the drainer on the side of my counter. And now, that's no longer a thing, right? They're put up. Little thing, but when you walk in the kitchen and your sink is empty when you work from home, those are the kind of things that hang you up. Writing a book.
Yeah.
I want to write a book. Well, oh my gosh, I need hours and days and weeks and months. Well, 12 minutes a day, every day for 365 days is 73 hours. When was the last time you really focused on one thing for 73 hours? Been a while.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me of Parkinson's. It's the container of time that you give something, and your time swells up to meet that container. So if you give yourself the 12 minutes and you're like, I've got to be out the door by the 13th minute, you're going to get your butt on the line, aren't you?
Yeah. And speaking of getting out the door, one of my clients was like, I need to exercise more, and was beating herself up about that. And I said, well, your very first 12 minutes is getting your outfit together. And she goes, what do you mean my outfit? And I said, well, you need your shoes, you need your socks, you need your yoga pants, you need your exercise bra and your top. Like, put those things together. So when you're ready to go, you can either just put them on or throw them in the bag and go. And she called one day, a video call, and said, well, I'm at the gym and I've been on the Stairmaster for 17 minutes. And I went, oh, yay, good for you. Like, what was the big deal? Like, I didn't know the goal, so I was struggling with my excitement. And she said, well, I got dressed, I pulled in the parking lot, And I thought, I'm not going in. I don't want to do this. I don't even know why I drove over here. Okay, I'll do 12 minutes. And she goes, I just looked down and realized I was at 17. Well, now I'm at 20. So now I can do 2 12-minute increments. And she stayed on it for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Once you get the momentum, you can keep going if you
momentum.
want. But if you hate it, stop. Like, okay, I did my one social media post. So,
yeah, that reminds me of, I've heard lots of entrepreneurs and busy business people say they sleep in their workout gear. And I used to just walk out my pajamas, just go for a walk down the road. That was my ikigai routine, where just like, hey, I'm just wearing pants and people don't know that's my pajamas. So I'm just going to walk down the road and just do the block and then just get that blood flowing. So there's many tips and tricks.
Exactly.
I would also love to ask you, about how, because we were talking last time, how marriages can look different. I think everyone has this kind of very narrow-minded view that marriage means you got to stick together, you got to sleep in the same bed, sleep in the same room, share the same closet, share the same life. And what was really eye-opening was that you don't do that. You travel and you do all these amazing kinds of things. If we can just backtrack a little bit, can you firstly share about how you met your partner, or, everyone likes to know your manifestation story, how you met your partner, what you do in that point, and then what does your marriage look like now?
Yes. So I just gave a talk last weekend, as a matter of fact, on how intuition saved my life. And one of my stories is how it almost killed me because I didn't listen. And so my first husband, we knew each other in high school. We dated off and on in college. And then we got married, and I knew it was a mistake. Like, I knew it was a mistake. Like, the first date I knew was a mistake, and I just kept staying. And we were married 12 months and 11 days. And somebody out there is going to think, oh, you didn't even try. Oh, it was a long 12 months and 11 days. So we had been divorced for a little while, and I was dating here and there, but like nobody was, trip my trigger or struck my fancy, whatever term you want to put. And a woman came and spoke at work and was talking about how she was divorced and her youngest was like 8 or 9 at the time, that she was single and looking for a partner. And she was dating 2 different men at the time, a little bit casual with both of them because she didn't know which one she liked. And over the years, she had literally created a 3-ring binder and cut out pictures from magazines on what she wanted her life to look like. And this was long before vision boards, long before any of that existed. And so she had her book and she made a list of pros and cons about each of the gentlemen that she was seeing. And so she broke up with one and really focused all her energy on the other. And they were married and, life was good. And she said, you have to know what you want and you have to be clear. So being a smart aleck who was divorced and having to pay my own way, and I didn't really like that. And I started listing all the things I wanted. And my first husband was an atheist. I'm a Christian. So I was adamant they had to be a Christian and they had to go to church with me. And he wouldn't work. And I wanted somebody not only with a job, but a long-term job. Like, I didn't want to fly by night. And he had to own his own car because I had to pay for the other one's car. A boat, like that would just be the icing on the cake, a boat. And my husband and I met at a party, and then we kept running into each other at various events. And I had called and invited him to a party with mutual friends because I didn't really know him very well. And they weren't able to come, but he called 6 months later and said, this is a blast from your past. And I just sat there. I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't know who this is or why you're calling me. And he goes, I'm sorry, it's Bill Takagi. And I was like, oh, well, hello. And so we made our first date and been together ever since. And we did start out very traditional, lived in the same house. And then along the way, after a few years, we bought a little place at the lake a couple hours away. And life was good. And I worked and he worked and I traveled some, he traveled some. Like through our whole dating and marriage, like one of us has had business trips here or there, and that was just kind of part of it. And I found out that I could retire or relocate, and I did not want to relocate at all. And so we start making plans for me to retire early, very early, and start my own business. And so as we had the conversations, I had spent a year traveling for work. I flew out every Monday morning and I flew home late Thursday night or Friday for a solid year. It was a lot of travel, a lot of airport time. And
Wow.
when we found out that this retirement was, on the horizon, he said, "Man, I should have just moved to the lake and sold real estate while you were gone." And I said, "Do it now." And he goes, "Well, do you think I could?" And I said, "Yeah. We're there every weekend anyway, and we'll be apart 4 or 5 nights a week, depending on what's going on. This is no different than somebody who travels for business. Oh, wait, we've done that." So he stays at the lake house most of the time and has our little miniature schnauzer, Shotzi, who's the cutest little dog you've ever seen in your life. And I have the great big
Aw.
fat cat, Luigi, who hates everybody but me here in the house. And
I met him
yeah, he was just here.
just now.
Yeah. Nope, he ran away. So it works out really well. He calls me every single night at 10 o'clock Central Time. And I'll be on
Aw.
a business trip. And you know how, especially when it's a group of women, you'll end up in one hotel room chatting in the evening. And my phone will ring, and one of my friends who I travel with a lot and has met my husband, she's been here and been to the lake house, and she'll go, "Be quiet, everybody, it's Bill. We have to talk to Bill." So everybody will get really quiet so I can talk to my husband for a minute and say, "Okay, I'm in a room with 10 women and I gotta go." But
Aw.
thanks for calling. But that's
That's
his
so cool.
commitment. He calls every night at 10. A couple of weeks ago, it was 11:30 and he hadn't called. And I called him and he was like, "Hello?" And I said, "I was getting worried you didn't call." And he goes, "What time is it?" And I said, 11:30. And he goes, "I fell asleep watching TV." But we've been married
Oh,
32 years. It'll be 33 June 1st. And that's our
wow.
routine. He calls every night at 10 o'clock. And if he doesn't, then trying to find out why. I think making sure everything's there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because it's like you're sharing your life with somebody who it's like you don't need to be together, but you choose to be together and you want to support each other in whatever direction that person goes, each other goes in their lives. And that's so cool. It's a bit different from how we, we're told that a marriage should be. And I've had a lot of friends now saying, they sleep in separate rooms just because you get a better sleep. And then you see your partner in the morning, you actually feel good. You're not grumpy that someone's snoring, right? I'm the snoring one. But
I'm in Oklahoma, and it's in the center of the United States, just north of Texas. So we're kind of like central and south, but we're not considered the South, but still geographically, that's kind of where we are. And there's a lot of oil rigs, and people travel all the time. And there's a lady that lives near us at our lake place. Her husband works in the oil field, and he's gone for 3 weeks, home for 1, gone for 3 weeks, home for 1. A lot of people have that. I worked with a lady whose husband worked in the Middle East, and he was gone for 8 weeks at a time and home for 4 and then gone for 8. And he retired. And she goes, I won't know what to do with him there all the time. I don't know. So it's been very interesting to me that people are very judgmental. However, there are a lot of careers that take people that way. And when we first started, and I did not go, we did not have internet there. And he sold real estate out of a real estate broker's office that had internet, but we didn't have internet. My life is on Zoom. I do a podcast. I need quiet to record it. I taught for the state of Oklahoma during COVID. I needed quiet. I needed internet. So everything I do needs internet. We do have it now, but we've just got such a routine down that it's just simple.
Yeah. Oh man, technology been such a blessing, hasn't it?
For me, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to maybe take a little step back because I know a lot of people are curious about how people actually meet their partner. And when I was asking you a little bit before, like in that period of time after your divorce of your first marriage, and that you were moving on to a new part of your life, a new phase, and you said that Bill just called you out of the blue, but what was it that potentially that you had manifested? Like you said, you'd gotten really clear. The lady had taught you how to do the vision boards. What was your life like at that point in time? And, when that call came, it really did seem out of the blue, but it was really just perfect. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, you've heard, if you quit looking, it will come. Have you ever heard that? Like, just
Oh yeah.
quit looking.
Oh yeah.
And I had a rule, and anybody else can implement this. I will allow it. Like, I don't own it, but it's my rule. And my rule was 2 dates. Lunch, if I liked them, then I would agree to a dinner. And if they did not blow me away, I wanted to hang out with them. After 2 dates, I didn't go again. I'm an avid reader. I love to watch TV and movies. And so I could entertain myself. And I decided that I would rather be alone than hang out with somebody just because it was somebody to hang out with. That's kind of how I got my first husband. And that was a colossal failure. I had not been on
Change of strategy.
Yeah, let's do something different. And I hadn't been on a date in probably 6 months, 7 months. And then Bill called. When I had left a message about a party with a whole bunch of people who were going to be there. And he had a, corkboard place for messages. So when he wrote my name and number down, he stuck it up there. And he was cleaning stuff up on a Saturday afternoon. And that was one of the things he was working on that day. And he saw my name and number and thought, well, I'm going to call Jennifer. Camera first.
Awesome.
I'm going to call Jennifer and see what she's doing. So we started going out. We didn't go out on our first date for another couple of weeks, but I knew at the end of the first week that I was going to marry him. I just knew it. And I was 28, 29 years old. And at that point, you've dated a little bit, you've lived a little bit of a life. I had my own house. I had to mow my own stupid lawn and I hated it. I wanted a good looking lawn, so I did it, but I didn't enjoy it. But yeah, so it was kind of I quit looking, and there he came. And I didn't have any emotional entanglement. I know women who will sort of be broken up with somebody, but emotionally they're still super connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you put out that vibe that I'm still really connected somewhere.
So do you think that was the difference with what you were going through? It sounded like you were living your great life. You said, I don't need anyone to entertain me. I'd rather just be single. And you were focused on your own career and building up towards your own, passions and fulfillment and for yourself.
Yep.
And then you didn't have those entanglements, that, baggage from the past. And your energy was pretty clear. You were focused on just having an amazing life with or without somebody. And then Bill heard your telepathic message, heard your call.
He did. And there he showed up out of nowhere. He came. I got to plug my computer in. It came unplugged. What's that about? So he just showed up, and there he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. And now you teach women to feel the fulfillment, have clarity in their businesses. So you're working with business women to have that for themselves and empower them to their own greatness and fulfill their potential. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you? Because you work more on the energetic side, but you also do a lot of very practical, tangible processes that can actually, really move the needle.
Absolutely. Yes. I have a podcast, Destined for Success. And of course, in the show notes are a bazillion links like everybody has in their podcast show notes. I have a website, jennifertakagi.com. And that's Takagi for those who are listening at this moment. And yeah, so I do one-on-one sessions. I have a group coaching program that runs in 12-week increments with my business partner, Kimberly Crow. And that is based on the high performance coaching principles. And so we do the very strategic coaching in the 12-week program. But at the end, for the participants who show up that week, I do emotion code, releasing trapped emotions that the clients have on what they want to work on. So I do that within the group, and then my other work is one-on-one. And sometimes they come in one-on-one, they want the energetic type work, and it is energetic work, but it also is somewhat business coaching. I've hired a lot of coaches. I've been exposed to a lot of different methodologies and ideas on how to build and grow a business. And I feel like if I've invested the money, then I need to share those lessons.
Yeah, 100%.
So they can get the
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because we tend to compartmentalize what is business, knowledge, and success separately from what is growth, development, and your own. Well, even femininity comes into it now with business because that's your internal intuition and going inside. So we tend to separate that, but you actually put those two together, and that's actually a much more holistic, successful system. So everyone, I urge you to go check out Jennifer. Do you have any last final words of wisdom or advice you'd like to impart?
Yes. If you're looking for a partner, be clear on what you want and how you want to be treated. And if they don't do it, walk away. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Don't get too invested. Just walk away. And when it comes to your business, there is a lot of advice out there. And I would urge you to ask yourself, is this really for me? I will say from personal experience, I've done a lot of things that a lot of coaches told me to do, and it never worked out quite like they either promised or implied. And the reason was I learned later, it was not aligned with me or how I want to show up in the world. So you have to be very clear on how you want to show up and what kind of business leader you want to be.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's a lot to be said about human design and personality quiz testing. I'm also a disc trainer, and having all those extra bits of, I guess, knowledge in your repertoire of knowing who you are and how you receive information and how you absorb and then implement it is really very wise.
Yes. And it all comes into play. I sat down one day and was listing the various certifications I have. And then I started looking at how I take bits and pieces from all of it and how it just really comes together nicely.
Isn't that the funnest, most exciting part when all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle fall together? I feel like that's happening for me at the moment in my nearly mid-40s. And I just can't wait for it to see it happen for everyone else. And it's like, oh, so exciting.
You just build everybody up with you. And some people are like, I'll cut later. I'm not ready. And other people are like, let's grow.
Yes, I love it. That's so true. That's so true. Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for being with us. Everyone, go check her out. She's an amazing lady. I've enjoyed our conversation so much. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone.